Chapter 1: The Silent Thief: Why Time Management Matters More Than Ever. The bad news is time flies. The good news is you're the pilot. Michael Altshuler. Time doesn't shout. It doesn't knock. It doesn't tap on your shoulder to remind you that it's slipping away. Time steals from the distracted. It tiptoes through the minutes when we scroll, complain, postpone, or say just 5 more minutes. It disappears in meetings that should have been emails, in tasks we should have said no to, in hesitations we disguised as planning. And the worst part? Most people don't even notice the theft until the vault is empty. That we live in an era obsessed with speed, faster Wi-Fi, instant replies, 10-minute grocery delivery, and yet, ironically, we've never felt more out of time. There's always something unfinished, something undone, something urgent pulling us away from what truly matters. But here's the truth. The problem isn't that we don't have enough time. The problem is that we don't know how to manage the time we do have. Time is the most democratic resource in the world. Every single person, from Elon Musk to the grocery clerk, from the stay-at-home parent to the president, wakes up with the exact same 24 hours. No exceptions. The difference is not in how much time they have. The difference is in how they use it. Let's not sugarcoat it. Poor time management costs more than just missed deadlines or chaotic mornings. It costs opportunities. That book you wanted to write. That side business you dreamed of starting. That trip you said you'd take someday. Poor time habits quietly rob you of them all. Health. Rushed routines, skipped workouts, fast food, and sleepless nights. All symptoms of a life out of sync. Relationships. When you're too busy for quality time, for listening deeply, for being fully present, bonds weaken. Joy. When your days are dictated by urgency instead of intention, you become a machine, not a human. In fact, according to the American Psychological Association, chronic stress related to poor time control is directly linked to burnout, decreased productivity, and mental health issues. The World Health Organization recently recognized burnout as an official occupational syndrome, and it starts with how we manage our time. Why now? Why this book? Because the old models don't work anymore. The traditional advice, wake up at 5 a.m., use a planner, grind harder, might have worked in an industrial economy, but in today's digital, always-on world, we need a more nuanced approach. One that respects human energy, neuroscience, technology, identity, and above all, purpose. This book isn't about stuffing more into your day, but it's about living more inside your hours. It's about designing a life with space. Space for focus, for laughter, for rest, for meaning. Not just efficiency, but effectiveness. Not just productivity, but presence. A short story. The Man on the Bench. There's an old parable about a man who sat every day on a park bench near Wall Street. He wore a suit, carried a briefcase, but never went into a building. Curious onlookers began asking why he was always there. His answer: I spent 30 years chasing time. One day I caught it, and now I make sure not to lose it again. This man had made millions, but lost his health and family in the process. When he finally had free time, he realized he had no idea how to enjoy it. So, he started by doing nothing. Just sitting, watching, relearning what it meant to exist in time, rather than race through it. It's not a true story, but it might as well be, as so many of us are so busy trying to win the race that we forget to ask where the finish line is, or whether we even want to run this race at all. What this book will do for you: by the time you finish this audiobook, you'll be able to recognize and reframe your relationship with time. Identify and eliminate your biggest time wasters. Build routines that actually work for your personality and life. Understand how to protect your energy as fiercely as your time. Learn practical strategies from high-performing entrepreneurs, creatives, and leaders. Use the latest psychological and neuroscientific research to create lasting habits. Build a system not just for better time management, but for a better life. Because ultimately, this is not just a book about calendars and to-do lists. This is a book about agency, choice, freedom. You must learn to manage your time, or time will manage you. John C. Maxwell. Time is currency, a metaphor worth remembering. Think of time like money in a bank account. Every morning, you receive a deposit of 1,440 minutes. You can spend them however you like, wisely, wastefully, generously, selfishly, joyfully, resentfully. But there's one rule. You can't carry any over to the next day. At midnight, whatever you didn't use or used poorly vanishes. No refunds. No rollovers so the question becomes, what are you buying with your time? Are you investing it in skills, experiences, relationships? Or are you burning it on comparison, procrastination, reactivity? Time doesn't ask if you're ready to IT moves forward anyway. Let's begin. Let's reclaim your minutes, your hours, your days, not by filling them tighter, but by aligning them smarter. Because time, as it turns out, isn't just what we measure. Time is what we make of it. Chapter 2. The Invisible Clock. Understanding how we actually spend our time. Until you value yourself, you will not value your time. Until you value your time, you will not do anything with it. M. Scott Peck. Imagine this. You're given a journal and asked to write down exactly how you spent your last 24 hours. Every minute, every task, every distraction. Most people hesitate. They guess. They assume. They hope. But very few know for sure, and that's the heart of the problem. You can't manage what you don't measure. You wouldn't invest money without tracking where it goes. You wouldn't try to lose weight without knowing what you're eating. But when it comes to time, the most valuable, irreplaceable currency we have, we often operate blindly. The time illusion. Why we think we're busier than we are. In 2018, Harvard Business Review published research showing that people often overestimate how many hours they work per week, sometimes by as much as 25%. Another study by Rescue Time, a productivity software company, revealed that the average knowledge worker spends only 2 hours and 48 minutes of productive time per day. The rest, meetings, emails, notifications, social media, task switching, mental fog. In other words, we're not working 8 hours a day, we're distracted for 6 and focused for 2. A story from real life. When best-selling author and business coach Laura Vanderkam wanted to debunk the "I don't have time" myth, she studied the schedules of hundreds of high-achieving professionals. What she found was surprising. Even the busiest CEOs, working moms, and entrepreneurs often had dozens of hours per week that were unaccounted for. I tracked one woman who claimed she worked 70 hours a week, Vanderkam shared in her TED Talk. Turns out, she worked closer to 50. And when we looked at how she spent her time, we found space for everything she wanted to do and more. The problem wasn't a lack of hours. It was a lack of clarity. Start with awareness. The time audit. Before you can build the life you want, you have to understand the life you have. That starts with a time audit, a simple, powerful process that will shock you into awareness. How to do a time audit. 3 to 7 days. Choose your format. Use a journal, spreadsheet, or an app like Toggle, Clockify, or Rescue Time. Track in 15 to 30-minute blocks. From the moment you wake up to the moment you sleep. Be brutally honest. Don't sanitize. Don't justify. Label each block. Productive work, meetings, social media, deep work, shallow work, commuting, eating, resting, procrastinating, etc. At the end of each day, reflect. Ask what drained me, what energized me, what surprised me. Where did I waste time without realizing? Most people discover they're not just wasting time, they're leaking it. Tiny habits like checking your phone just for a second add up to hours per week. The hidden costs of micro-time. Ever heard of the term time confetti? It was coined by researcher Bridget Schultz to describe how our day gets chopped into tiny, useless pieces. A 5-minute email here, a 3-minute scroll there, a quick meeting that runs long. Individually, each one seems harmless, but collectively, they shatter your focus, rob your energy, and leave you feeling like you've done nothing. Even if you've been busy all day. Task switching. The productivity killer you didn't notice. You might think multitasking is efficient. It's not. It's an illusion. Neuroscientists at Stanford and MIT have shown that switching between tasks reduces productivity by up to 40%. Your brain takes time to reorient every time you shift from writing an email to answering a message to checking the weather. Think of your brain like a car engine. Constantly starting and stopping burns far more fuel than cruising steadily. The cost isn't just time, it's mental energy. And the more fragmented your day, the more exhausted you feel by nightfall. Energy mapping. When are you actually most effective? Here's a revolutionary idea. You don't need to manage time. You need to manage energy. Not all hours are created equal. You may have 8 hours on your calendar, but if your brain is only firing on 2 of them, that's your real productivity window. High performers know this. They build their day around their peak hours, the moments when their body and mind are naturally aligned for high output. Some are morning people. Some hit their stride at night. The key is to notice your patterns. Try this for 3 to 5 days. Track when you feel most alert, creative, focused. Note when you feel sluggish, distracted, or drained. Protect your golden hours. Use them for deep work, not shallow tasks. This isn't just anecdotal. The ultradian rhythm theory suggests that human beings naturally cycle through 90 to 120-minute periods of heightened focus and energy, followed by dips. Managing your work in alignment with this rhythm improves output without increasing effort. Digital distractions. The new time vampires. Let's address the elephant in the room. Your phone. The average person checks their phone 96 times a day. That's once every 10 minutes. According to a study by Asurian, Americans spend more than 3 hours daily on mobile devices. Much of it passively. That we don't scroll because we're interested. We scroll because we're exhausted. That we're not distracted because we're lazy. We're distracted because our brains are starved for rest and meaning. And the algorithm offers quick dopamine in exchange. That here's the truth. Your phone is designed to steal your attention, and it's doing a damn good job, but you're not helpless. You can take control again. We'll cover how in future chapters, but for now, the first step is recognition. Awareness. The willingness to admit, yes, I'm losing time here. Before we move forward, here's a challenge. Tonight, instead of saying, I didn't have time today, try saying, I chose not to prioritize it today. It feels different, doesn't it? It's not meant to guilt you. It's meant to empower you. Because the moment you realize that you're not a victim of time, you're the author of it, you regain your agency, and agency is everything. Don't say you don't have enough time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Pasteur, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein. H. Jackson Brown Jr. Now that we've exposed the silent leaks, it's time to fix the pipeline. In the next chapter, we'll confront the biggest illusion in modern productivity, the myth of being busy, and learn what separates movement from progress. Let's go deeper. Chapter 3. The myth of busy, productivity versus activity. Beware the barrenness of a busy life. Socrates, have you ever reached the end of a day, collapsed into bed, and thought, I did so much today, but why does it feel like I did nothing that mattered? You weren't alone. That hollow exhaustion is the echo of false productivity, the illusion of being effective while actually just being. Busy.in our culture, busy has become a badge of honor. People wear it like a uniform. Ask someone how they're doing, and chances are you'll hear, busy man, crazy busy. Busy is not the same as productive. Busy is easy. Busy is reactive. Busy is addictive. Productive? That's deliberate. Focused. Courageous. The cult of busyness in the 21st century. Busy has become the new important. Sociologists call this the busyness prestige economy. The idea is that if you're busy, you must be in demand. Your time must be valuable. But this illusion is dangerous. It rewards people not for outcomes, but for appearances that we check email at stoplights, respond to Slack during dinner, schedule back-to-back calls, and brag about not taking lunch breaks. We confuse motion with meaning, but as author and business strategist Greg McKeown once said in Essentialism, being busy is not the same as being productive. In fact, it's often the complete opposite. The productivity paradox. Let's break it down. Imagine two people. Person A spends 10 hours replying to emails, attending meetings, fixing low-priority tasks, and feeling overwhelmed. Person B spends 3 focused hours solving a critical business problem, then shuts the laptop and takes a walk. Who was more productive? Exactly. The value of time is not in how much you spend, but in what you spend it on. Activity is motion. Productivity is movement with purpose. Parkinson's law. Why work expands to fill time. Here's a principle that should be printed on every desk. Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Parkinson's law gives someone 2 hours to write a report, and they'll finish in 2 hours. Give them 2 days, and it'll take 2 days, with the same quality or worse. This law explains why open-ended tasks drag on, why meetings go in circles, and why busy people never seem to catch up. The remedy: intentional constraint. Set hard stops. Define scopes. Compress timelines. Most things don't need more time. They need more clarity. The false gods of modern work, let's call them out. The icons we worship in the temple of busyness. The inbox zero obsession. You don't get paid to answer emails. You get paid to think, build, lead, create, decide. The meeting spiral. Studies show that the average professional attends 62 meetings per month, with half considered unproductive. Elon Musk famously said, "Walk out of a meeting or drop off a call as soon as it is obvious you aren't adding value." The multitasking myth. We've already touched on this, but it's worth repeating. Multitasking is not a superpower. It's a productivity killer. Every switch drains your focus battery. The always-on culture. According to Deloitte, 77% of employees experience burnout, and a leading cause is the pressure to be constantly available. When you never unplug, your performance degrades. Your creativity dies. Your joy fades. Busy burns you out. Purpose builds you up. The fear behind busyness. Let's be honest. Sometimes we stay busy to avoid something. Silence. Hard decisions. The unknown. Emotional discomfort. Busyness becomes a shield, a distraction from facing ourselves. But true growth comes when you pause. When you get quiet. When you sit still long enough to hear what your life is trying to tell you. A.S. philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." How high performers redefine productivity. Let's look at how the most effective people operate. You'll notice some patterns. They batch similar tasks. Tim Ferriss, author of The 4-Hour Workweek, checks email only twice a day. He batches tasks to preserve cognitive energy. They focus on outputs, not hours. Jeff Bezos is known for making a handful of critical decisions per day and protecting the brainpower needed to do so. He said, "I go to bed early, I wake up early, and I like to putter in the morning. I schedule my most important meetings before lunch." They say no a lot. Steve Jobs once said, "I'm as proud of the things we haven't done as the things we have." Focus requires sacrifice. They protect white space. Bill Gates has think weeks, entire weeks of uninterrupted time to reflect and read. This isn't luxury. It's strategy, reclaiming your focus. 3 immediate shifts. Let's get practical. How can you move from busy to productive starting today? Use the one big thing rule. At the start of each day, ask, if I could only accomplish one meaningful thing today, what would it be? Then protect time for it like your life depends on it, because your future life just might. Adopt the no meeting mornings principle. Reserve your first 2 to 3 hours for deep work. Meetings can wait. Messages can wait. This is your golden time. Use it wisely. Replace to-do lists with time blocks. Don't just list tasks. Schedule them. Put them on your calendar. Create containers. This forces trade-offs and eliminates overcommitment. From performer to composer, imagine your day not as a race to run, but as a symphony to compose. Not every note has to be loud. Not every moment needs to be filled. But every hour should mean something. The goal is not to be busy. The goal is to be intentional. That means knowing what matters, saying no to what doesn't, and giving your full presence to what does. You don't need more time. You need fewer distractions. Thibaut, in the next chapter, we'll dive into the real secret behind effective time use. Managing your energy, not your hours. Because a full calendar doesn't mean a full life, but a focused, energized you. That's unstoppable. Let's keep building. Chapter 4. Energy over hours. Managing your peak states. Time is a created thing. To say I don't have time is to say I don't want to. Lao Tzu. For centuries, we've been taught to manage hours. Count them, track them, stretch them, squeeze more into less. But what if we've been chasing the wrong metric all along? You don't need more hours in the day. You need more energy in the hours you already have, because time is neutral. But energy is your fuel, your currency, your creative force. You can have an open calendar and still get nothing done. If your brain feels foggy, your body sluggish, and your soul is running on fumes, that on the other hand, in the right energetic state, you can create a breakthrough in 20 minutes that would have taken 4 hours on a bad day. So the question isn't, how do I find more time? The real question is, how do I protect, manage, and amplify my energy? The 3 energies: physical, mental, and emotional. Think of your energy like a 3-legged stool. If any one leg breaks, the whole thing wobbles. Physical energy, your stamina, sleep, nutrition, movement, hydration. Mental energy, your focus, attention span, clarity, stimulation. Emotional energy, your attitude, confidence, joy, resilience, alignment. That you've probably had days where your body was rested, but your mind was distracted. Or your mind was sharp, but your heart wasn't in it. That's a misaligned energy profile, and it kills performance. Top performers, whether CEOs or athletes, don't just train their skills, they train their energy. Peak performers don't work more. They recover better. Professional athletes spend far more time recovering than they do competing. LeBron James sleeps 12 hours a night. Roger Federer, the same. Olympic swimmers nap between training sessions. Why? Because they understand the paradox of performance. Rest is not a reward. It's a strategy. In the world of knowledge work, we've lost that lesson. We grind. We burn. We caffeinate. We push through until we crash. But research from the University of California shows that cognitive fatigue builds up like lactic acid in your brain. Without recovery, your performance declines, even if you show up for the same number of hours. In short, if you don't manage your energy, time becomes irrelevant. The energy audit. What fuels you? What drains you? Take a blank sheet of paper. Draw a line down the middle. Label one side, energy boosters. Label the other, energy drainers. Now, go through your typical week and list everything that fuels or drains you. Be honest. You might find boosters, morning walks, reading fiction, brainstorming in silence, working with a trusted teammate, making real progress on meaningful goals. Drainers, endless status meetings, negative people, cluttered spaces, multitasking, late-night doom scrolling. You don't need a complete life overhaul. You just need to do more of what fuels you and protect yourself from what drains you. This isn't about selfishness. It's about sustainability, the power of rituals, creating predictable energy patterns. Top performers don't rely on motivation. They rely on rituals, repeatable behaviors that signal to the brain, it's time to enter this state. Tony Schwartz, author of The Power of Full Engagement, encourages energy management through interval work and recovery, not long sprints. Barack Obama wore the same suit every day to reduce decision fatigue. Maya Angelou rented a hotel room with nothing but a bed and desk to write in. It was her creative sanctuary. These routines aren't arbitrary. They're energy cues, environmental and psychological signals that prepare the brain to perform. Want more energy? Create a pre-work ritual. It could be as simple as making a cup of tea, putting on noise-canceling headphones, lighting a candle, journaling for 3 minutes, turning off phone notifications. The point isn't the ritual itself. It's the state it invites, the 90 to 20 rule. Work with, not against, your brain. That you've probably heard of the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes of work, 5-minute break. It works well for some. But high-performance research suggests another rhythm might be even more powerful, the 90 to 20 cycle. This is based on your ultradian rhythm, a natural cycle your body follows every 90 to 120 minutes. During this time, your focus, creativity, and mental clarity peak, and then dip sharply. Trying to push through that dip is like trying to sprint uphill with a broken foot. Instead, embrace the rhythm. 90 minutes of deep work, no distractions. 20-minute recovery. Walk, stretch, breathe, nap, snack. Do this 2 to 3 times a day, and you'll get more done in 4 focused hours than most people do in 10 fragmented ones. Food, sleep, and movement. The non-negotiables. Let's talk basics. The boring stuff people try to skip. According to Matthew Walker, author of Why We Sleep, losing just 1 hour of sleep reduces your cognitive capacity as much as drinking a glass of wine. Sleep isn't optional for energy. It's foundational. Aim for 7.5 to 9 hours. Non-negotiable. No pride in deprivation. Nutrition. Think of food as information for your cells. Sugary, processed foods give short spikes, then crashes. Whole foods, protein, fat, fiber, greens, provide sustainable fuel. Simple habit. Drink a glass of water before your coffee. Another, avoid big meals in the middle of focus blocks. Digesting food redirects blood flow and energy away from your brain. Movement. Movement isn't just for the body. It's for your mind. A 10-minute walk increases creativity by up to 60%. According to a Stanford study, you don't need to train like an athlete, but you do need to move like a human. Protecting your energy equals protecting your future. When you learn to protect your energy, you don't just feel better. You perform better, decide better, lead better, live better. You become less reactive and more intentional. You stop managing time like a robot. You start creating life like an artist. Because in the end, energy is what allows you to turn minutes into momentum and momentum into mastery. The ultimate productivity hack is self-care. Naval Ravikant. In the next chapter, we'll talk about perhaps the most powerful filter in all of time management, prioritization. Not everything matters equally. And the faster you learn to separate the vital few from the trivial many, the faster you'll feel your life shift. Let's go there. Chapter 5. The Art of Prioritization, from Eisenhower to Essentialism. Things which matter most must never be at the mercy of things which matter least. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Imagine standing at the base of a massive mountain, holding a backpack. In front of you, a steep climb. In your backpack? Stones. Some are gold. Others are just rocks. The heavier your bag, the harder the climb. So what do? You empty the bag. You keep the gold. You leave the rocks. This is what prioritization is. Not doing more, but doing less, better, because the truth is, you can't do it all. Why we struggle to prioritize. Most people don't lack discipline. They lack clarity. They confuse urgency with importance. They mistake activity for achievement. They chase what's loud instead of what's meaningful. In the absence of clear priorities, everything feels equally important. So we spin. We react. We say yes to too much. We try to juggle flaming swords on a unicycle and wonder why we feel burned out and off balance. But life doesn't reward you for doing more. Life rewards you for doing what matters most. The Eisenhower Matrix, a president's gift to the overwhelmed. Dwight D. Eisenhower, former U.S. president and World War II Supreme Commander, once said, "What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." From that insight, the now famous Eisenhower Matrix was born, a deceptively simple tool used by CEOs, military leaders, and thinkers around the world that IT divides your tasks into 4 quadrants. Urgent plus important, do it now. Crises, deadlines, last-minute problems. Important but not urgent, schedule it. Long-term planning, health, learning, relationships. Urgent but not important, delegate it. Interruptions, some emails, minor requests. Not urgent plus not important, eliminate it. Scrolling, gossip, busy work, unnecessary meetings. The key to a powerful life. Spend more time in quadrant 2. That's where the magic happens. Growth, vision, and self-respect. The Hell Yes Test. Derek Sivers, entrepreneur and author, offers a beautifully ruthless filter for decisions. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Simple, powerful, life-changing. You don't have room for lukewarm maybes. Every maybe takes energy from a yes that could transform your life. You can't plant new seeds in a field already full of weeds. This applies to tasks, meetings, invites, partnerships, opportunities. Practice saying, "Thank you, but I'm focusing on something else right now." Graceful, clear, clean, essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less. Greg McKeown's bestseller Essentialism outlines a core truth. We can either make our choices deliberately or allow other people's agendas to control our lives. The essentialist mindset doesn't ask, "Can I do this?" It asks, "Is this the highest use of my time? Does this align with who I want to become? If I say yes to this, what am I saying no to?" Because every yes has a hidden cost. Your focus, your time, your energy. The power of the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule. This principle, first observed by economist Vilfredo Pareto, states that 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients. 80% of your happiness comes from 20% of your experiences. 80% of your progress comes from 20% of your actions. Your job is to find that 20% and double down. This principle has been used by Warren Buffett in investment decisions, by Tim Ferriss in business design, and by Steve Jobs in product development. Jobs famously cut Apple's product line by over 70% when he returned to the company, focusing only on what would move the company forward. Result? A historic turnaround. Real-life case. Sarah Blakely and the power of focus. Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, started her billion-dollar company while working a full-time job and selling fax machines door-to-door. Her secret? Ruthless prioritization. She focused only on the next critical step, designing the prototype, getting the patent, finding a manufacturer. She didn't get distracted by branding, marketing, or social media. That came later. Point one, focus at a time, relentlessly. You don't need more time. You need a clearer direction. The rule of 3, simplicity that cuts through the noise. Author and productivity coach Chris Bailey offers this technique. At the beginning of each day, ask, what are the 3 most important things I can accomplish today? Only 3. That's it. Write them down. Block time for them. Protect that time like treasure. Everything else is a bonus, not a priority. This works because it forces focus, reduces overwhelm, and gives you daily wins. The rocks in the jar metaphor. You may have heard this one. It's a classic because it works. A professor brings out a jar and fills it with big rocks. Is it full? He asks. The class nods. Then he pours in pebbles. Full now. Again, they nod. Next, sand. Then water. The lesson? If you don't put the big rocks in first, they'll never fit. Your big rocks are your most important goals: family, health, creative work, mission-driven action. If your day starts with sand, emails, errands, drama, you'll never find time for what matters. But start with the rocks. Everything else falls around them, or doesn't matter. Saying no is an act of self-respect. Let's make this practical. Say no to meetings with no clear purpose, tasks someone else can do, projects you've outgrown, guilt-based obligations, requests that dilute your vision. Say yes to your health, your most meaningful work, time with those you love, rest and renewal, your own future. Every no today is a yes to a better tomorrow. The difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. Warren Buffett. In the next chapter, we'll look at how setting boundaries, not building walls, creates the space for freedom, focus, and fulfillment. You'll learn how to protect your time like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Let's move forward. Chapter 6. Boundaries build freedom. Saying no without guilt. Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. Brené Brown. Here's a paradox most people don't see coming. The more boundaries you set, the more freedom you create. It sounds backwards, right? We associate boundaries with limitation, with restriction, distance, conflict. But in truth, boundaries are bridges. They connect your time with your values. They create space not just for less, but for more of what matters. Without boundaries, you become a public park, open 24/7. Anyone can walk in, trample around, leave a mess, and expect a smile. With boundaries, you become a private garden, cultivated, protected, intentional. People are still welcome, but only by invitation, only with respect. And here's the key. Boundaries aren't something you set against others, there's something you set for yourself. Why we don't set boundaries and why it's costing us. Let's be honest, saying no is hard. We want to be liked. We fear conflict. We were raised, in many cases, to equate politeness with compliance, so we say yes when we mean not really. We say sure when we're drowning. We take the call, answer the email, agree to the meeting, all while resenting the time we're losing, the goals we're delaying, the life we're postponing. But here's the cost of a boundaryless life: burnout, overcommitment, resentment, reduced productivity, loss of identity. When you say yes to everything, you're not being generous, you're being irresponsible with your energy, your dreams, your values, the types of boundaries you need. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to people. They're about saying yes to structure. Here are the key ones. 1. Time boundaries. Protect your calendar from low-value commitments. No meeting mornings. Schedule deep work blocks. Shut down rituals in the evening. Point 2. Technology boundaries. Reduce the passive access others have to your mind. No notifications during focus hours. Do not disturb mode. Email checking only at scheduled times. Point 3. Relational boundaries. Define what you will and won't tolerate emotionally. Saying, I can't help right now, without guilt. Letting go of guilt-based relationships. Protecting time for family, solitude, reflection. Point 4. Energetic boundaries. Recognize people, tasks, and habits that drain you and distance yourself from them intentionally. You are not a limitless battery. You are a finite creative resource. Treat yourself accordingly. Scripts for saying no with grace and strength. The fear of saying no is often rooted in not knowing how. So let's fix that. Here are powerful, respectful ways to decline. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm currently at capacity and wouldn't be able to give this the attention it deserves. I'm focusing on a few key priorities right now, so I have to pass. That's not something I can commit to at the moment, but I appreciate the opportunity. Let me think about it and get back to you. This buys you space. Use it. Remember, a clear no is kinder than a vague maybe. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to justify. Clarity is generosity. Real life story. Oprah's learning curve. Even Oprah Winfrey, one of the most influential women in the world, struggled with boundaries early in her career. She said yes to every interview, appearance, and request. Eventually, she was so overcommit, she felt like she was living everyone's life but her own. Her turning point came when she realized this truth. You have to be responsible for the energy you allow in your space. Now, her team protects her time like a fortress. Her yes are rare, but powerful, and the result? More energy, more clarity, more impact. Boundary guilt. Why it shows up and why you must ignore it. Guilt is a tricky thing. It whispers, you're being selfish. You're letting them down. Who do you think you are? But here's the truth. Saying no doesn't make you unkind. Protecting your time doesn't make you arrogant. Prioritizing your values doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a whole person. Your presence, energy, creativity, these are gifts. But they're only valuable when they're whole, not fractured. You cannot pour into others from an empty cup. The most generous thing you can do for the world is to protect the source. Here are simple ways to create automatic protection around your time. Calendly or booking tools. Let people schedule around your availability, not inside it. Email autoresponders. I check email twice a day and will respond within 48 hours. Focus modes/app blockers. Use tools like Freedom, Cold Turkey, or Screen Time to protect focus hours. Visual cues in shared spaces. A closed door, headphoneson, or even a focus block in progress signs signals you're not available. Make boundaries visible. Make them known. If you don't communicate your boundaries, people will assume you have none. Boundaries in leadership and teamwork. If you're in a leadership position, setting boundaries isn't just a personal habit, it's a cultural signal. If you send late-night emails, your team will assume they must reply. If you always say yes to requests, your team will model the same. If you never take real time off, you're silently telling others they shouldn't either. Great leaders model structured focus, protected time, and respectful decline. That gives everyone else permission to do the same. Freedom lies on the other side of the fence. Think of your time as a piece of land. Without a fence, anyone can enter, plant whatever they want, or leave trash behind. But when you build a boundary, you decide what grows. You decide who enters. You decide what this space becomes, and that's where freedom begins. The only people who get upset when you set boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. Unknown. In the next chapter, we'll take all this clarity and protection and use it to build actual systems. You'll learn how to design daily, weekly, and hourly routines used by top performers across industries. This is where we go from theory to rhythm. Let's architect your ideal day. Chapter 7. Planning that works. Architecting your ideal day. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Abraham Lincoln. We all start the day with the same gift. 86,400 seconds. What you do with them determines the quality of your work, your relationships, your energy, your life. Most people don't waste time intentionally. They just never learned how to plan it with intention. They drift. They check email. They open tabs. They get pulled into tasks, then into conversations, then into distractions. They hit the end of the day exhausted, but unclear. What did I actually accomplish? But the most effective people, they don't leave their days to chance. They design them consciously, with care. And the good news is, so can you. The 3 levels of planning to master your time. You need to think in layers, not just hours, but horizons. Point 1. Annual vision. Zoom out. What do you want this year to feel like? What kind of work do you want to be known for? Where do you want to be in 12 months? Write it down. Visualize it. Make it vivid. Point 2. Monthly/weekly plans. Break that vision into chunks. What are the major milestones this quarter? What habits do you need to build this month? What outcomes do you want this week? This is where strategy becomes movement. Point 3. Daily structure. This is the execution layer, where vision becomes action. Here, we'll go deep, because your day is where your life actually happens. Start with your energy, not your to-do list. Planning isn't just about stacking tasks. It's about matching your energy to your priorities. Are you sharpest in the morning? That's your deep work window. You crash after lunch? That's the time for shallow tasks. Emails, admin, errands to you recharge with movement? Build breaks in before you break down. Your calendar should honor your biology, not ignore it. And if you're not sure when you're most effective, track it. Spend a few days noticing. When do you focus best? When do you get distracted? When do you feel inspired? Use that data to shape your day around you, not someone else's blueprint. The power of time blocking. One of the most powerful tools in the time management arsenal. Time blocking. Instead of working from a to-do list, you assign tasks to specific hours of the day, turning intention into appointment. Here's how. Start with anchors: sleep, meals, commute, workouts. Block your deep work sessions. No meetings, no distractions. Insert admin/shallow tasks. Group similar items together. Protect recharge time. Walks, mindfulness, connection. Leave buffers. Things always take longer than you think. That it's not about creating a rigid schedule. It's about making space for what matters. Even Elon Musk, who juggles companies like Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink, uses 5-minute time blocks to manage his day. That's how tightly he values his minutes. If it works for him, imagine what it could do for you. Morning routines of the highly effective. How you start your day often determines how the rest of it flows. Most successful people protect their mornings like treasure. Common elements of powerful morning routines include waking up early, but not too early. Rest matters. Movement, walks, yoga, stretching, or full workouts. Stillness, meditation, journaling. Intentional inputs, reading, affirmations, vision review. Focused planning, reviewing the top 1 to 3 priorities. Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning Framework became a global sensation by organizing 6 core elements: savor silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, scribing. You don't need all of it, but you need something. Even 20 intentional minutes can shift your entire day. Daily planning ritual, the evening setup. High performers don't wait until the morning to plan the day. They do it the night before. Why? Because your subconscious mind will begin solving problems overnight. You wake up with clarity, not chaos. You reduce morning decision fatigue. Before you sleep, ask, what are the top 3 outcomes I want tomorrow? What's the first thing I'll do after waking? Is there anything I can prepare now to make things easier? Lay out clothes. Prep your workspace. Charge your devices. Small acts of preparation, massive psychological relief. Weekly reviews. The habit that changes everything. David Allen, author of Getting Things Done, calls the weekly review the critical success factor of productivity. Every week, take 30 to 60 minutes to review what you accomplished. Reflect on what worked and didn't. Reset your task lists. Reconnect with your goals. Ask, did my time reflect my priorities? What distracted me and why? What will I do differently next week? This habit builds momentum through reflection, and momentum is magic. Tools of the trade. What actually works? There's no perfect tool, only the tool that fits you. But here are some proven options. Digital planners. Notion, Todoist, Sunsima, Trello. Paper planners. Full Focus Planner, Passion Planner, Bullet Journal. Time trackers. Toggle, Rescue Time, Clockify. Habit builders. Habitica, Streaks, Way of Life. Whichever you choose, make sure it's easy to use, aligned with your rhythm. Something you enjoy returning to. A system only works if you use it. Simplicity wins. Real life case. Benjamin Franklin's daily structure. Long before smartphones and time tracking apps, Benjamin Franklin had a strict daily routine, divided by hour. Each morning, he asked, what good shall I do this day? Each evening, what good have I done today? He scheduled time for learning, work, meals, conversation, and rest, even for addressing powerful goodness. His system wasn't just productive. It was purposeful. A reminder, planning isn't about control. It's about meaning. Build in flexibility or burn out trying. Your plan is a map, not a prison. life will interrupt. Emergencies happen. Energy fluctuates. The key isn't rigid perfection, it's adaptive clarity. Use the 85% rule. If you stick to your plan most of the time, you win. The rest is called being human. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. In the next chapter, we'll dive into focus and flow, the real superpower behind all high performance. You'll learn how to silence distractions, enter deep work states, and produce more in 1 hour than most do in 3 that lets unlock your mental fortress. Chapter 8. Deep Work, Flow, and the Distraction Trap. Clarity about what matters provides clarity about what does not. Cal Newport. Imagine this. You're in a cafe, headphones on, heart steady. Hours pass like minutes. Your fingers dance across the keyboard. Time doesn't exist, only the task in front of you. And when you finally stop, you realize, that was some of the best work I've ever done. That state? It has a name, flow, and the ability to enter it, reliably, deliberately, is the closest thing to a superpower in the modern world. But here's the problem. We live in a world designed to keep us out of it. Notifications, meetings, multitasking, infinite scroll, constant interruptions. The world is loud, and our minds are paying the price if you want to do your best work, not just busy work. You have to protect your attention like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. What is deep work, and why most people never get there? Cal Newport, in his landmark book Deep Work, defines it as professional activity performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that pushes your cognitive capabilities to their limit. This is the work that moves your career forward, that builds legacy, that changes lives, not email replies, not Slack threads, not meetings that could have been memos. Deep work is writing a novel, solving a complex business challenge, coding a new product feature, designing a brand from scratch, creating a breakthrough strategy. It's work that requires your full mind. No fragments, no background noise. And because of that, it's also the most rare and valuable form of labor today. The cost of distraction. Let's get brutally honest. Distractions aren't just annoying. They're devastating. The average worker checks email or messaging tools once every 6 minutes. It takes 23 minutes and 15 seconds to refocus after an interruption, according to a study by the University of California, Irvine. Most people spend 2.5 hours a day recovering from distractions, not including time spent distracted itself. That's not just lost time. That's lost depth, lost momentum, lost mastery. Every time you switch tasks, your brain incurs a cognitive cost called attention residue. A part of your mind stays stuck in the previous task, making it harder to go deep. So, if you're wondering why your work feels scattered, why you're constantly tired, why it's so hard to finish big things, this is why. Flow state. The science of total immersion. It's that feeling when you're challenged just beyond your comfort zone. You're fully focused, without fear or distraction. You lose track of time, self-consciousness, and even hunger. And here's what happens in your brain. Dopamine floods the system, increasing motivation and reward. Prefrontal cortex activity decreases, silencing self-doubt and fear. Performance skyrockets. Some studies show up to 500% productivity increases in flow states. In other words, flow isn't just a feeling. It's a biological upgrade, and it's trainable. How to enter deep work and flow, step-by-step. Point 1. Define a clear, high-stakes task. Your brain needs clarity to engage deeply. Vague tasks, work on presentation, don't cut it. Instead, define something specific and challenging. Draft the first 1,000 words of the article. Sketch 3 logo concepts for the new brand. Solve the analytics issue in the revenue dashboard. Make it measurable. Make it slightly difficult. That's the entry point to flow. Point 2. Time block a deep work session. Pick a 90 to 120-minute window with 0 interruptions. No meetings. No checking anything. Just you, the task, and focus. Start small if needed. Even 30 minutes is a great first win. Point 3. Eliminate all distractions ruthlessly. This is non-negotiable. Phone on airplane mode. Tabs closed, except what's essential. Noise-canceling headphones or ambient music, e.g., Brain.fm, noisily. Turn off Slack, email, or use tools like Freedom or Cold Turkey to block access. Make distraction impossible, not a matter of willpower. Point 4. Use a pre-work ritual. Our brains love rituals. They signal, it's time to focus. Examples: brew a specific kind of tea or coffee. Listen to the same instrumental playlist. Do 5 minutes of breath work or meditation. Write your goal on a sticky note before you begin. This is your mental warm-up. It creates a neural association between ritual flow. Point 5. Work in sprints, then rest. Use techniques like the Pomodoro technique, 25-5, or ultradian rhythms, 90-20, to sustain energy. Remember, deep work is taxing. After 3 to 4 hours, you're spent. That's okay. Protect that time like gold. Make it a habit, not a heroic act. Anyone can have a deep day once a month. But real impact happens when deep work becomes a habit. Here's how. Schedule it first. Don't fit it around your day. Build your day around it. Track it. Use a calendar, journal, or app to log your deep work hours. Celebrate it. Every time you complete a deep session, reflect. What did I create today? Over time, this becomes identity-based. You're not someone who tries to focus. You're someone who creates at depth. What about the rest of the day? You can't live in deep work mode 24/7. That's not the goal. Use the rhythm of focus and recovery. Morning equals deep work. Afternoon equals admin, meetings, calls. Evening equals connection, rest, reflection. This protects your most creative energy and uses the rest intentionally. And yes, if you have a demanding job, family, or unpredictable schedule, this will take work. But even 1 to 2 hours of deep work per day can put you years ahead of others. Story: The Flow Code of J.K. Rowling. When J.K. Rowling was writing the final chapters of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, she was overwhelmed by distractions at home. So she checked into a fancy hotel, not for luxury, but for focus. She wrote alone, in silence, day after day. No distractions, just her and the story. Result? One of the most anticipated and best-selling novels in history. Sometimes, the best gift you can give your creative self is a closed door. If you're easily distracted, you're not broken. Let's end with compassion. If you struggle to focus, it's not because you're lazy or broken, it's because you're living in a world that's actively trying to steal your attention. But now you know how to fight back. Protect your inputs. Design distraction-free time. Build rituals. Train your mind like a muscle. Over time, your capacity for focus will grow, and with it, your results, your confidence, your sense of mastery. Your future is hidden in your daily routine. Mike Murdoch. In the next chapter, we'll build on this momentum and tackle something we all face: procrastination. Why we delay, how to overcome it, and how to take action even when we don't feel like it. Let's break through inertia and unlock forward motion. Chapter 9. Tools of the Trade. Technology that serves you. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities, and then protect them with the right tools. Stephen Covey. Let's face it, technology is a double-edged sword. IT can be the engine of productivity, helping us stay organized, automate the boring, and track what matters. Or it can be the enemy of attention, hijacking our focus, fragmenting our time, and keeping us in a constant state of digital noise. This chapter isn't just about recommending apps, it's about a philosophy. Use technology with intention, not addiction. Make your tools serve you, not control you. We'll explore systems, apps, automations, and digital practices that top performers use to manage time, energy, and attention, without getting sucked into a black hole of endless notifications. First, audit your current digital life. Before you add new tools, take inventory. Ask yourself, where does my time go online? What digital habits waste the most of it? Which apps support my goals and which distract from them? Do I feel in control of my technology or owned by it? This reflection alone can be a breakthrough. As author James Clear says, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So let's raise the level of your digital systems. The digital foundation, your productivity stack. Every effective person has a personal productivity stack, a system of interconnected tools for capturing, organizing, and executing work. Here's a breakdown of the core layers. 1. Capture, input. This is where thoughts, tasks, and ideas first enter your system. Tools. Notion, the all-in-one knowledge base. Evernote, for notes, scans, and web clippings. Apple Notes/Google Keep, fast, native capture. Voice memos/otter.ai, record thoughts on the go. Power tip, use quick capture shortcuts. A system is only useful if you use it the moment the idea hits point 2. Tasks and projects, action. Your brain is for thinking, not remembering. Offload to-dos into systems that help you see your next steps. Tools, Todoist, powerful task manager with filters and labels. Things 3, Mac/iOS, beautifully simple and intuitive. Tick, to-do meets calendar. Asana/Trello/ClickUp, great for team and personal projects. Key feature, set due dates only when necessary. Overscheduling kills momentum. Point 3. Calendar, time. Your calendar should reflect your real priorities, not just meetings. Tools, Google Calendar, integrates with nearly everything. Sunsuma, task to calendar integration for daily planning. Fantastical, Mac, natural language input with elegance. Power move, time block your most important work. Make it sacred. Point 4. Focus, attention. This is about protecting your mental bandwidth, not just organizing it. Tools, freedom/cold turkey, block distracting apps and websites. Forest/focusmate, gamify or co-work your focus. Brain.fm/endel, music engineered for flow states. Small changes equals massive results. Even blocking email for an hour can 3x your productivity. Point 5. Automation energy. Why repeat what a machine can do better? Tools, Zapier/Make, Integromat. Connect your apps, trigger automated workflows. Alfred/Raycast, Mac-based productivity launchers. Siri shortcuts/Tasker/Ift, custom routines on mobile. Example, when you add a meeting to Google Calendar, Zapier can automatically create a task in Todoist to prep for it. Magic. Principle, fewer tools, deeper use. Most people suffer not from a lack of tools, but from too many they barely understand. What matters isn't having 10 apps. What matters is using 3 to 4 tools consistently and deeply. Look at any successful entrepreneur, creative, or executive. They usually have one trusted note app, one trusted task manager, one simple calendar, one habit or focus tracker that they've optimized execution, not exploration. Protecting your focus. Notifications are the enemy. Every beep, buzz, badge, or banner pulls you out of flow. The average person gets 65 to 90 notifications per day. That's 33 hours a week of mental residue. Here's how to take back control. Turn off all non-human notifications. No badges, no banners. Batch check email once or twice a day. Set app limits, iOS/Android settings, and respect them. Use Do Not Disturb, with scheduled exceptions for loved ones. Remember, urgency is not the same as importance. Digital minimalism, the practice that changes everything. Cal Newport advocates a philosophy of digital minimalism. Focus your online time on a small number of carefully selected and optimized activities that strongly support things you value. Here's a 3-step process to apply it. Identify your digital values. What do you want more of? Learning? Creating? Connecting? List your current tools. which support those values, which don't. Perform a digital declutter. Unsubscribe from newsletters. Delete distracting apps from your phone. Declutter your desktop. Remove and use tabs and tools. Then rebuild slowly, with intention, like an architect, not a hoarder. Case study. How Naval Ravikant uses tech angel investor and philosopher Naval Ravikant is known for his clarity of thought and depth of work. His tech philosophy is minimalist and ruthless. He doesn't use social media, except when needed for distribution. He schedules 0 meetings by default. He uses Twitter like a publishing platform, not a feed. His calendar is mostly empty, by design. Why? Because Naval believes leverage comes from judgment, clarity, and focus, not from being busy or connected to everything. Final tool. The power of defaults. The most powerful tool isn't an app. It's a habit that if you can build a default system, something that runs with little thought, you win. For example, mornings, deep work block, no email before 11 a.m. Afternoons, admin or calls only during 2 to 4 p.m. Evenings, phone off by 9 p.m., wind down ritual. Weekends, offline Sunday mornings when tech supports these rhythms, not breaks them. You've won the game. Technology is a great servant, but a terrible master. Tim Ferriss. In the next chapter, we'll go to the inner game, the real roots of time mastery, your beliefs, mindset, and the psychology behind procrastination. Why do we resist the things we want most? And how do we take action even when it's hard? It's time to turn the mirror inward. Chapter 10. The Time Mindset, Psychology, Identity, and Habits. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Time management isn't really about calendars, checklists, or apps. It's about how you see yourself. Because every choice you make, every hour you spend, reflects one thing above all: your beliefs. Your beliefs about what matters. Your beliefs about what you're capable of. Your beliefs about what kind of person you are. This chapter isn't tactical. It's about your identity and how to rebuild it so time becomes your ally, not your enemy. Let's dive deep. Not just into your to-do list, but into your story. The stories we tell ourselves about time. Think about the phrases we use. There's never enough time. I'm always behind. I'm not good at planning. I'm just naturally disorganized. I work better under pressure. These aren't just excuses, they're narratives. Patterns your mind has repeated so many times they've become part of your identity. And what we believe, we act on. What we act on becomes our reality. If you believe you're a disorganized person, you'll unconsciously sabotage systems that work. If you believe you're not creative, you'll avoid blank pages and hard work. If you believe time is your enemy, you'll always feel behind. But here's the truth. None of these stories are fixed. Your brain is plastic. Your identity is malleable. Your time mindset is reprogrammable. You just have to start with awareness. Time scarcity versus time ownership. There are two dominant mindsets people operate from when it comes to time. Time scarcity mindset: you feel rushed, anxious, behind. You start your day already feeling defeated. You focus on what you can't control. Time ownership mindset: you act with clarity and purpose. You know what matters most and protect it. You shape your time like a craftsman, not a victim. This shift is everything. It doesn't mean you always feel in control. Life is unpredictable, but it means you stop saying, "I don't have time," and start saying, "I'm choosing not to make time for this." Ownership is where power begins. The habit loop that shapes your time. Let's zoom into the neurology of behavior. Every habit, good or bad, follows a loop. Cue, the trigger. Craving, the desire. Response, the action. Reward, the feedback. Example. Cue, you feel overwhelmed. Craving, relief or escape. Response, you scroll Instagram. Reward, dopamine hit, temporary numbness. Now multiply that loop 100x a day. That's your time, right there. But here's the powerful part. Habits aren't broken, they're replaced. You can't just stop procrastinating. You have to install a new loop that meets the same need, but in a better way. Cue. You feel overwhelmed. New response. Open a 2-minute win task or breathe for 60 seconds. New reward. A small dopamine hit, but one that builds momentum, not avoidance. This is how real, lasting change happens. Not through motivation, but systematic rewiring. James Clear writes in Atomic Habits. The most effective way to change your behavior is to change your identity. Not, I want to be more productive, but I'm the kind of person who does what matters most. Not, I want to stop wasting time, but I'm someone who makes every minute count. Your behaviors are always catching up to your identity. So don't just change your schedule. Change the story you tell yourself. Start small. I am someone who plans my day the night before. I finish what I start. I protect my mornings for focus. I rest without guilt because I've earned it. Each time you act in alignment with this story, you cast a vote for the future you. The emotional triggers behind time avoidance that, let's be honest, the biggest barrier to time mastery isn't knowledge, it's emotion that we delay, not because we're lazy, but because the task stirs something uncomfortable. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough, fear of finishing and seeing the result. These fears live below the surface of our to-do lists, but they drive everything. That's why real-time mastery requires emotional intelligence, the ability to name, feel, and stay with your discomfort without escaping it. Next time you're stuck in procrastination, ask, what am I actually avoiding? What am I afraid might happen if I finish this? What emotion is present right now? And can I sit with it for 60 seconds? You'll be amazed how much clarity and courage lives just beyond avoidance. Your calendar is not just a record of what you do, that it's a mirror of who you believe you are. So let's design a schedule that supports your becoming, not just your doing. Here's how. Anchor your week around your values. If health matters, block workouts first. If family matters, schedule family dinner before anything else. If deep work matters, protect mornings. Use your ideal future self as a guide. Ask, how would the future version of me spend this hour? Leave white space. A good schedule breathes. Don't cram every hour. Give yourself buffers. That's where spontaneity, reflection, and real presence live. Forgive yourself daily. No one sticks to the plan perfectly, but as James Clear says, never miss twice. Reset, restart, recommit. The time identity of top performers. Let's close with what we know from real high performers across industries. Warren Buffett has entire days with no meetings. He reads for hours. He guards his time like treasure. Oprah Winfrey journals daily, plans in advance, and reflects often. She calls it her intentional life. Serena Williams designs her training around rest and rhythm. Recovery is scheduled. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit daily. He believed in conserving decision energy for things that matter most. These people don't manage time. They've built an identity and system that protects what's sacred. So can you. Closing ritual. Redefining your time story. Let's end with a small but profound exercise. Take a moment. Grab a journal or just sit still. Ask, what is the current story I tell myself about time? How is that story helping me or holding me back? What would a new story sound like? One rooted in ownership, clarity, and joy. Then write it down. Literally. Here's a template to use. I am someone who creates time for what matters most. I act with intention, not impulse. I honor my energy. I follow through. I am becoming the kind of person who respects time because I respect myself. Read it aloud. Post it somewhere visible. Let it be your new internal compass, because no strategy will work until your self-story changes. You don't become what you want. You become what you believe. Oprah Winfrey. Chapter 11. When life gets messy, time management and chaos. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Mike Tyson. There are weeks, maybe whole seasons, when the color-coded calendar doesn't help. When the kids are sick, your boss is furious, your health dips, the roof leaks, and motivation walks out the back door without saying goodbye. Chaos happens to everyone. And if your time management system only works when life is calm and predictable, it's not a system, it's a fantasy. This chapter is your lifeline, your guide for those days. Not about optimizing, but adapting. Not about perfect flow, but grace under fire. The myth of the productivity persona. Let's destroy a dangerous myth right now. That productivity means being a machine. That to succeed, you must rise at 5 a.m., journal for 30 minutes, drink a kale smoothie, meditate, write 2,000 words, and finish before sunrise. That it's beautiful when it happens. But real life doesn't follow scripts. Babies cry. Projects fail. You wake up sad for no reason. The world throws curveballs. High performers aren't perfect. They're resilient. They know how to pivot, not panic. They know how to scale down without shame. They don't worship consistency. They honor adaptability. When life gets messy, the goal is no longer maximization. The goal becomes sustainability. The three-part framework for managing time in chaos. Let's get practical. Here's a field-tested approach used by founders, parents, creatives, and leaders during times of stress, burnout, or transition. Point 1. Simplify. Strip everything to its essentials. Ask, what actually must happen today? What can wait? What can be cut entirely? This isn't weakness, it's triage. Imagine yourself as a battlefield medic. Your job is not to treat every patient, but to save what's critical. Tools. The must, should, could list. Daily top 1. What's the one task that, if done, would make the day a win? Even in chaos, clarity is power. Point 2. Stabilize. Anchor your days with tiny rituals. When everything feels uncertain, we need repetition. Not for efficiency, for emotional grounding. Examples. Make your bed, even when nothing else is working. Drink water first thing. Do a 3-minute journal. What do I need? What can I control? What am I grateful for? Light a candle, stretch for 30 seconds, play one song. Something that reminds your body, we are okay. Stability isn't built from big actions. It's built from micro habits repeated in disorder. Point 3. Shrink the frame. When overwhelmed, narrow your focus. That don't plan your week. Plan your next hour. That don't write the report. Write the first sentence. That don't clean the house. Tidy one corner. The trick is to keep moving, even if you're crawling. Elizabeth Gilbert. Momentum is more important than scale. Forward is forward, even at 5%. Energy, time. Here's something no one talks about enough. In chaos, time is not the constraint. Energy is. You might have 10 hours on your calendar, but if you're grieving, sick, anxious, or burned out, you might only have 90 functional minutes inside you, and that's okay. The key is to spend those 90 minutes intentionally, not guiltily. Drop the shame of not doing enough. Learn to match your tasks to your current energy tier. Think of your daily energy like a phone battery. Some days you wake up at 90%, others 12%. Build a flexible system. High energy, 80 to 100%. Creative work, deep thinking. Medium energy, 40 to 70%. Meetings, admin, light planning. Low energy, 0 to 30%. Rest, routine tasks, kindness to yourself. Smart people don't just manage time. They manage capacity. Real life stories. Chaos tested. J.K. Rowling wrote the first Harry Potter book as a single mom, living on benefits, writing in cafes between childcare and depression. Her secret? A stubborn commitment to just one more page. Sheryl Sandberg, after the sudden death of her husband, said, "I had to learn to breathe again, and to work again, and to mother again." Imperfectly, slowly. She credits radical vulnerability and a few non-negotiable anchors as her time lifeline. Trevor Noah, raised in apartheid-era South Africa, found stability through structure, even when survival was a daily concern. If I could control 1 hour, I felt human. Sometimes, The best time strategy is surrender, let go of. The perfect plan, the inbox zero dream, the guilt of saying no, the fear of being seen as lazy or not enough, embrace. What's actually in your control? What matters today? Who you are, not just what you produce. You are not your productivity. You are not your output. You are not your calendar. You are human. And some days, surviving is the win. Tiny questions for turbulent times. When it all feels too much, try asking, what's the one thing I can finish today? What would it look like to be kind to myself right now? What can I say no to so I can say yes to stability? What am I avoiding that's actually small? What can I let go of for now without guilt? These aren't productivity hacks, they're empathy tools for yourself, because that's the ultimate time skill during chaos, to keep moving gently, imperfectly, and with grace. In the midst of winter, I found there was, within me, an invincible summer. Albert Camus. Chapter 12. The Long Game. Designing a life, not just a schedule. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca. The key is in not spending time, but in investing it. Stephen R. Covey. 12 chapters. Countless ideas, tools, and inner shifts that you've gone from chasing time to claiming it. Let's talk not about the hours in your day, but the arc of your life. Let's talk about legacy, purpose, and the deep work of living well. Because time management isn't about squeezing more into your day, it's about shaping a life that matters. Beyond productivity, toward meaning. Productivity is a good start. IT gets the gears turning. It creates order from chaos, but it's not the destination. Many people reach the summit of productivity, inbox zero for AM routines, minimalist calendars, only to ask, is this all? Because a perfectly managed day doesn't guarantee a deeply lived one. That you can be organized and aimless, efficient and unfulfilled, successful and deeply lost. The real question isn't, how do I manage my time better? It's, what kind of life am I building? And is my use of time aligned with that? Time is the canvas of a well-lived life. Imagine your life as a vast, blank canvas. Each day is a brushstroke. Some are bold, some are small, some are messy. The canvas will never be perfect, but with intention, it can become something beautiful. Live the long game means you zoom out regularly. You question what you're chasing. You stop living only for today's urgency and start building for tomorrow's legacy. Most people build their schedule around obligations, but a fulfilled life is built around priorities that come from within, not just demands from outside. Designing with the end in mind. Stephen Covey's classic advice still rings true. Begin with the end in mind. But not just the end of the day, not even the end of the year, the end of your life. What do you want to be remembered for? What kind of relationships do you want to have built? What kind of presence do you want to have offered the people around you? That vision isn't morbid. It's clarifying. When you're clear on the long game, you stop being a prisoner of the urgent. You say no with confidence. You invest in slowness when it matters. You build depth, not just speed. The rhythm of seasons life isn't linear, it's cyclical, full of seasons. There are seasons of building, where you're creating, striving, pushing forward, seasons of loss, where time slows and grief takes the reins, seasons of maintenance, where life feels steady and grounded, and seasons of reinvention, where identity shifts and new stories begin. The long game means learning to respect the season you're in. Stop comparing your pace to someone else's chapter. Recognize that rest is productive. A farmer doesn't expect harvest in winter. You shouldn't expect peak performance during your emotional winters either. The quiet power of consistency in the long run. It's not your intensity that defines your life, it's your consistency. The parent who reads 15 minutes a night, the writer who types 300 words a day, the couple who walks together each morning, the leader who journals quietly before sunrise, the artist who returns again and again to the canvas. Small things, done consistently, create monumental results over time. Robin Sharma. The long game is about showing up after the mood has passed, after the motivation fades, after the results delay, because in the end, the most meaningful parts of your life, love, impact, growth, are all built on compounded time. Living in kairos, not just chronos. The Greeks had two words for time: chronos, clock time; minutes, hours; deadlines. Kairos, soul time; presence, meaning, the right moment. Modern life drowns us in chronos. The long game invites us into kairos.to. Pause in the middle of the rush. To savor a deep conversation without checking your watch. To hold your child for 5 extra seconds. To walk slower. Breathe deeper. Listen fully. In kairos, time doesn't just pass, it expands. And it's in these moments, unplanned, unproductive, that life whispers its truest gifts. Let's ground this in action. Ask yourself, what kind of life do I want 10 years from now? What skills, habits, and relationships will I need to nurture that? What am I doing today that supports or sabotages that vision? Reverse engineer your calendar around that future, not just tasks. Values, that's how you build a life that doesn't just run. It resonates. Why now? You've probably realized something. Time management isn't really about time. It's about attention and intention. The goal isn't to do more, it's to become more of who you already are. On purpose. Don't measure success by how many hours you worked. Measure it by how much peace you felt, how present you were, how boldly you lived, how fully you loved. And if, at the end of a chaotic, imperfect, beautiful day, you can say, I was here, I showed up, I chose what mattered. That's time mastery. That's life mastery. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Mary Oliver. Take a moment, turn off your notifications, close your eyes, and breathe. Then ask yourself, who do I want to become? What matters most? What is one small, meaningful step I can take today to move toward that? That's it.do it. And let that single, ordinary choice, repeated again tomorrow, shape an extraordinary life. Time is not your enemy. It's your companion, your canvas, your gift. Use it well. Chapter 13. The 21-Day Challenge. Transform your time one day at a time. That you've read, that you've reflected, that you've probably underlined, paused, and nodded along. Now, it's time to move, because insight without action, that's just intellectual entertainment. This final chapter is your invitation and your commitment. A 21-day time transformation. One small shift per day. The challenge is simple by design. No overwhelm. No overthinking. Each task takes 10 to 30 minutes, but plants a seed that can last a lifetime. How to use this challenge? Start any day. Today, tomorrow, Monday, your birthday. No pressure. Do one challenge each day for 21 days. Missed a day? Pick up where you left off. Use a journal or notes app to track reflections and lessons. No perfection needed. Just consistency and honesty. You can do this solo, with a friend, with your team, with your family. Ready? Let's begin. Day 1. Time autopsy. Spend 15 minutes reviewing the past week. Where did your time actually go? What patterns do you see? Where did your energy spike and crash? Reflection. What 2 to 3 changes could immediately make next week feel better? Day 2. Your time vision. Write a paragraph. If I mastered my time, what would my days feel and look like? Make it sensory, emotional, real. Reflection. What's one word that defines your desired relationship with time? Day 3. Eliminate one drain. Cut one habit, obligation, or digital distraction that drains you. Just one. It can be small, like turning off push notifications for email or removing a toxic WhatsApp group. Reflection. How did it feel to reclaim that time? Day 4. Energy mapping. For one full day, note your energy level every 2 hours. Use simple scores, high/medium/low. Match this against what you were doing. Reflection. What tasks belong in your high energy zones? Day 5. Design your ideal morning. Craft a morning routine, just 30 to 60 minutes, that energizes you. Include one thing for your mind, body, and soul. Reflection. What's the one non-negotiable you want to keep from this? Day 6. Digital declutter. Choose one digital space. Your inbox, desktop, browser tabs, or phone. Clean it. Clear it. Close it. Reflection. How did that small act change your focus or mood? Day 7. The Sunday setup. Create your weekly time ritual. Review the past week. Set intentions for the next. Plan your top 3 priorities. Block time for rest. Reflection. What part of this ritual felt most grounding? Day 8. The 90/90/1 rule. For 90 days, spend the first 90 minutes of your day on one important task. Today, just test it. One big thing, no distractions. Reflection. What did you get done that surprised you? Day 9. Single task hour. Pick 1 hour today to do just one thing. No multitasking, no phone, no tabs. Just flow. Reflection. How deep did your focus feel? Day 10. Define your time values. List your top 5 life values. Then ask, is my time aligned with these? Reflection. What's one small way you can live your values more fully this week? Day 11. Move something forward. Pick a stalled goal or dream. Take one concrete step. Write one page. Make one call. Create one folder. Book one session. Reflection. What changed internally when you finally began? Day 12. Protect your boundaries. Say no today. Gracefully. Firmly.it could be an invite, a task, a scroll, or even your inner critic. Reflection. What space did that no create? Day 13. Unplug to reconnect. Spend 1 hour offline. No phone. No screens. Just presence. Reflection. How did it feel to just be? Day 14. Microjournaling. Answer these questions in 3 minutes. What am I grateful for? What am I avoiding? What can I let go of? Reflection. What truth emerged from those 9 sentences? Day 15. Time investment plan. Pick one life area: health, relationships, creativity, learning. Create a simple 30-day time investment plan. 15 minutes per day is enough. Reflection. How does it feel to build something for future you? Day 16. Design your environment. Tidy or reorganize your workspace with intention. Make it inspiring, clear, and calming. Reflection. How does space shape your focus? Day 17. Ritual of closure. Create a 10-minute end-of-day ritual.it could include reflecting, setting tomorrow's top task, stretching, shutting down tech. Reflection. How did this affect your evening or sleep? Day 18. The 5-minute rule. Choose one task you've been avoiding. Set a timer for just 5 minutes. Begin. That's it. Reflection. Did starting feel harder than continuing? Day 19. Calendar with soul. Look at your upcoming week. Ask, where is the joy? The meaning? The white space? Reflection. What's missing? And how can you protect it? Day 20. Teach what you've learned. Share one insight or habit from this challenge with someone else. Teaching locks in understanding. Reflection. What did explaining reveal to you? Day 21. Your time manifesto. Write a 1-page time manifesto. How you want to use your time, what you'll protect, what you'll let go of, and who you're becoming. Post it. Print it. Read it often. Reflection. How has your relationship with time changed? If you completed even half of this challenge, something in you has shifted. You are no longer just a passive user of time. You are a designer, a shaper, a creator of rhythm, clarity, and meaning. The work doesn't end here, but it begins here, with presence, intention, and the courage to choose what matters. You do not find the time. You make the time by choosing. So choose, and keep choosing, every hour, every day, every season, because your time is your life. Chapter 14. Closing the Loop. A letter to the future you. Dear future me, I hope this letter finds you well, not just productive, but hold out. I wonder where you are reading this. In a quiet morning before the world wakes up, at the edge of a long day, with your coffee gone cold, or maybe somewhere in between, where time feels both heavy and fast. Wherever you are, pause, take a deep breath, close your eyes. Feel your pulse that you're here. That alone is a kind of miracle that you've made it through so much. Days that broke you, days that built you, moments where time slipped through your fingers, and moments where it stood still in awe that you've lived. And more than that, you've chosen. This letter is not here to tell you what to do. You already know enough that you've read, wrestled, underlined, questioned, stretched, slowed down, sped up. Instead, I write to you to remind you of what's already inside you, that a wisdom that no planner or app can replace. Let me remind you of a few things, just in case the noise gets loud again. You are not behind, and no matter what the calendar says, and no matter who seems farther ahead, you are not late to your own life. You are right on time for your story, not theirs, not the world's. Yours. That's so walk your pace, breathe into your rhythm, and remember, urgency is not the same as importance. Your worth is not measured by output, not by how many emails you cleared, not by how full your calendar is, not by how early you woke or how many goals you crushed. Your worth is in your presence, that I in your kindness, that I in the way you show up for people who'll never optimize your time, but deeply matter. You don't need to prove yourself by being busy. You already are enough. Especially when you're still. Rest is not a reward. It's fuel. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to stop. To nap. To read. To walk. Nowhere in particular. There is no virtue in burnout. There is no glory in exhaustion. So rest. Not because you've earned it, but because you're human. Your time is your vote. Every yes is a no to something else. Every hour is a ballot. What you give your minutes to becomes your life. Spend it like it matters, because it does. Even the quiet moments, even the boring ones, even this one, right now. Your future is not built in grand leaps, that it's built in quiet returns. The habits. The values. The love. Yourself. You don't need to overhaul everything. You need only to return to what matters, again and again and again. This is how lives are transformed. Not all at once, but over time, with gentle persistence. The clock is not your enemy. It is your canvas. You do not manage time like a tyrant. You dance with it. You collaborate. You listen. You lead. Time does not limit your life. It frames it, and inside that frame, you are the artist. Paint it boldly. Live it colorfully. Rest without guilt. Create without shame. And love without holding back. Because, future you, this life is not a rehearsal. You'll forget all of this sometimes. That's okay. Just come back. Come back to the pause. The breath. The stillness that reminds you. You are not a machine. You are a miracle in motion. And every day, every moment, is another chance to remember who you are, why you're here, and how beautiful time can be when you give it meaning. Go now. Live deeply. Love fully. Choose wisely. I'll be here when you return. Always, with clarity, courage, and calm. You.